Welcome to Out of Bounds, the Monday edition, doing what your local sports radio shows cannot do. We got a full show today, whether you're listening on YouTube or whether you're listening on iTunes. However you're doing it, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you spending your Monday, or if you're listening on Tuesday, whatever, with me. Today, we have a little Saints recap. We're talking Luke McCown. We're also talking how I did on the winners that I gave you all this past weekend. Spoiler alert, Daddy's hot. We also have the MLS MINUTE, and we're even talking some baseball. So hopefully I won't lose too many listeners. Here we go, Saints recap. A 27-22 road loss against the Panthers is not that bad, right? Especially when you consider that Drew Brees is missing the first game due to injury he's ever missed in a Saints uniform. What I think is a little disconcerting is that there's a lot of people out there, a lot of Saints fans, who honestly believe and who are really getting behind Luke McCown. The only people that should be getting behind Luke McCown are the people that work for Verizon. Because that's it. That's the only people who should believe in Luke McCown. Because his commercials are the talk of the town. McCown was efficient. There's absolutely no doubt in that. Absolutely can't take it away from him. He ran the offense well. He went 31 for 38. For 310 yards with no touchdowns and a game-ending interception in the end zone. All right? No big deal. He was limited in a very, very small playbook. You know, his completions averaged about 8 yards. He wasn't throwing the ball downfield. He was spreading the ball around to receivers. He was keeping everything pretty much within about 15 yards. He did absolutely nothing to kill him on. The interception at the end was aggressive. He took a chance, and the cornerback for Carolina perhaps made the interception of the year. So, you know, all things considered, I give it up to Luke McCown. You know, I'm not afraid to give him some praise, whatever. But there's real people out there on Twitter, in the media, who are saying that the team ran better with McCown at the helm, and the offense looked better, and that maybe McCown should be the guy moving forward that plays quarterback over Drew Brees, who you would think will be better for next week, or this week was just kind of a precautionary thing, and Brees will be healthy moving on. Let me just put this little nugget of statistical advice out there. Luke McCown is 34 years old. There's a real chance that he'll retire before Drew Brees. The people that are out there saying, yeah, we can build around McCown, or McCown has a lot of potential, he's got literally zero potential. His potential ended about 6 years ago. You don't have potential after about 27, 28. You are done. Your career is what it is. You can't be like, oh man, well he's got a lot going for him. He's got a lot of things he can work on. He's 34. He's working on his AARP, bruh. He's working on his Social Security. My man isn't working on anything. He's working on building a family, having a house, and making sure that he doesn't have any more concussions so that he can be a father and a husband. He's not working on his 7-step drop. This guy is an established backup journeyman quarterback. He's 34. He's almost the same age as Drew Brees. The fact that people are out there saying, yeah, let's just ride with McCown. Why? What? Who? In what world, in what planet does it make sense to ride with McCown? I'll just play devil's advocate here. I'll tell you the reasons you don't go with McCown. You paid Drew Brees $100 million. All right? Drew Brees is better. Okay? McCown is not going to play for you longer than Brees, so it's not like you're investing in the future. There is not a single reason why you should be supporting. There shouldn't even be an argument. And the fact that I'm opening my show with this and wasting my precious time is really something. But I had to address the Who Dat Nation. I had to address the people who think that Luke McCown is the answer. Luke McCown's not even the question. He's not even that shows how fickle people are. That after a game where you throw for 8 yards per pass with no touchdowns and a game-ending interception in a loss against a divisional opponent, And all of a sudden, people start turning to that guy over the best quarterback the franchise has ever had and the guy who led you to your only Super Bowl and who's missed one game in his entire career for you due to injury. And they're just like, no, we're done with that. Brees is done. Brees era's over. It's McCown time, baby. That is crazy talk. I can't even wrap my head around it. I will say this, though. The more that this team plays and the more that, I watch them, I think it's more Sean Payton's problem. We should be running the offense that we ran with Luke McCown, with Drew Brees. Keep everything in front. Quit trying to spread the ball out. Quit trying to throw it downfield. Drew Brees can't do that anymore. Peyton Manning can't do that either. And you don't see the people in Denver making him throw 80-yard bombs. Last night he threw maybe a 40-yard pass down the sideline to Emmanuel Sanders. And I thought he was going to break his back with the amount of effort he gave into that pass. It's hard to watch. It's honestly kind of sad. But if you're going to, that limited offense, that super West Coast where you just dump the ball out to all your receivers, right? You just keep everything about 20 yards in, spread the ball out, and make little short, accurate passes. I wonder who could do that really well. Oh, I know. Drew Brees, the Hall of Fame quarterback that you have sitting on the bench, waiting to come back in, or who's been there. You know what Drew Brees probably can't do? Play like it's 2008. It's not. Let Drew Brees run this offense. You're 0-3. The playoffs are done. The Super Bowl is done. All that's over. So if you want to keep these games competitive, quit trying to get in 50-point shootouts. That's over. Quit trying to get in shootouts. Run the football the best you can. With Mark Ingram, that's questionable. But this kind of rotational back thing with Kyrie Robinson and Ingram, that looks better. And Spiller even finally showed a little dynamic ability. So do that. Run the ball the best you can, and let Brees operate with these screen passes, with these little slants, these little corner routes, everything that he can do. Drew Brees is a very, very accurate passer. Always has been. That's not going away. What's going away is his ability to push the ball downfield, to zip the balls to the sidelines. So we're trying to keep everything. I almost just knocked my sailor over. Good God. It's Monday. Monday blues are killing me. But quit trying to push everything to the sidelines. Quit trying to push everything downfield. Keep it in and let Drew Brees just manufacture. Let him run his offense. Because let me break it to you. He's better than Luke McCown. Whatever Luke McCown can do, Drew Brees can do times 100. One is a backup journeyman, 34 years old, and one is an NFL Hall of Famer. So it's not even a question. It's not even comparable. There has to be a change. Sean Payton cannot keep just throwing the same thing out on the field. He can't just keep saying, all right, Drew, go score us 48 points, throw for 415 with 3 touchdowns, and let's try and win this sucker 56-55. That's over, man. That's over. Not to mention the team is not as good. The team is not as good, and it, to me, this has now become a lot more of a coaching kind of a scheme problem because, yes, we did look better yesterday than we have all year. We did look better against the Panthers than we've looked in the first 2 games, against Arizona and against Tampa Bay. But it's less on Brees, and it's more on what they're making Brees do. I think moving forward, the best way to go is to limit the offense to these kind of intermediate passes, these short passes, kind of a time of possession. Just change the scheme. And as a coach, that's what you have to do. As a coach, you have to be able to change according to what you have. You can't just run the same thing over and over again. People are out there saying, well, we look better, we had a better offensive flow. Yeah, because we played within ourselves. I think the player that's going to take the biggest hit from this is the development of Brandon Cooks. Because Brandon Cooks is this guy who, he came to the Saints about 3 years too late. He's the guy who's like speedster, spreads the ball out, can absolutely destroy you downfield. Well, we don't run that kind of offense anymore. So Brandon Cooks is probably needs to another one of those guys that needs to either change how he plays. He needs to develop more into a screen guy or a guy who can take slants, guys that can do that and break away. The notion of him becoming Randy Moss, where you just throw it up to him downfield and hope he can burn somebody, that's over. We don't have that guy. We don't have Brees can't do that. And Marcus Colston, those kind of players, they're playing their last little bit. They're giving everything they've got. But when Brees comes back, I want to see Sean Payton implement the same offense that he gave Luke McCown. That's what will give the Saints success. Now, I don't mean a divisional title or a playoff berth. That's not what the Saints need right now. The worst thing you can be in sports is average, because you don't get a high draft pick and you don't reap the rewards. So you can't be a 7-win team. That's the worst thing you can. Now, I'm not saying to tank the season, but I'm saying that we need to go ahead and try and keep these games competitive, because we have a relatively winnable schedule. Keep the games competitive and kind of ease up the pressure on Drew and try and do something different with the team. Rob Ryan's defense is going to be so important moving forward, because, like I said, we can't win games. We can't win 40-point shootouts. So we need Rob Ryan to keep this thing competitive. We need Drew to run the offense in a more limited, safe way, and we need to let we just got to be okay with reality. We just got to be okay with what we have. We have a Hall of Fame quarterback, not Luke McCown, guys. I'm talking about Drew Brees. So that's what I think we should do. That's where I'm at with the Saints. I think that I'm really interested to see what Peyton does with Brees moving forward. If he goes back to what we saw in the first two games, where Drew's throwing it downfield all game, we will lose, and we will look terrible, and the offense will stagnate, and we will have a lot of 3-and-outs. If he runs this much more West Coast, spread it out, short passes, move it around a little bit, that's the basis of the West Coast offense, is that you can throw the ball for 3- and 4-yard gains instead of running the ball. That's the entire basis of the offense. The entire philosophy of the West Coast offense is, instead of running it for 3 yards, you throw it for 3 yards. No one can do that better than Drew Brees, in my opinion. He's about as accurate as it gets. He obviously understands the offense as good as humanly possible. So let him do what you let Luke McCown do, and I promise you the Saints will be much more competitive and have a much better season than if we try and replicate what we have for the past few years. Now, how did I do? Let's do this segment. We do it every single Monday, where I recap the picks that I give to you. I give you 3 college picks and 5 NFL picks every single week. And then on Twitter, I drop some extra picks that I might bet on if I'm feeling a little frisky, and I usually lose on all of those. So I went into this week. Well, last week I went 4-1 in NFL picks. I lost the Monday night game, thanks to Indianapolis, who just can't get right. That's a trend, is that we just lose on Indianapolis. Everyone has. They're 0-3 against the spread. So I came into this week 11-11 total with picks that I've given y'all. A good old-fashioned 500. And then Daddy kicked the door down. Let's start Saturday, shall we? What picks did I give you? I give these picks. I film it on Thursday, so sometimes the line moves, sometimes things happen. We'll talk about that in a minute. I gave you Texas A&M -3. The line moved around 6. Some places it opened around 4.5, moved to 6, moved to 6.5 in some places, whatever. But they covered regardless. They won by 7. So that is a win for the big dogs. Check. Then I gave you the University of Southern Mississippi +24 in Nebraska. Now, what did I tell you? I said Southern Miss has a bunch of junior college players. They have a bunch of players they're much better than they were last year. And they're going to go to Nebraska, a team that is not afraid to give up passing yards. And what had happened? Nick Mullins threw for over 400 yards. The Golden Eagles lost by 8. That's a good old-fashioned check. Then I gave you Vanderbilt Ole Miss under a 59.5. But James, Ole Miss scores 70 points every game. What did I say? I'm not going to replay the tape, but I'll summarize. I said, yeah, even though Vanderbilt sucks, this is a game where coming off of a huge win, it's a letdown game. Ole Miss played Bama just 7 days prior in Tuscaloosa. Then they play Vanderbilt, a team they can beat, a team they will beat, but it won't be a pretty win. I said somewhere around a 17-point win, something like that, and that's literally exactly what happened. It was way under. That's another check. So that's 3-0 on Saturday. You can't do better than 3-0. Impossible. Then we go to Sunday. When I gave you the Carolina -3, Drew Brees was still playing. Then he got scratched. Line moved all over the place. I saw it at 4.5. I saw it at 5. I saw it at 10. I saw it at 6. Depends on where you were. I'm just going to scratch that from the record books because it's a huge difference in -3 and -7 or -10 or whatever. So I'm going to scratch that. Act like it never happened. Atlanta, pick. Atlanta won. That's another check. That's 4 straight. 4 straight winners. Next, Seattle, Chicago under a 45. I couldn't have nailed this any better. I said that this was going to be that Seattle would dominate Chicago, but Seattle offensively struggles. So I said it was going to be something like I think what I told you all was like 24 to 6 or something like that. And it was almost exactly what happened. It was just like, what was it, 24-0? Something like that. So another check, under, boom. Couldn't be easier. I remember I give you 2 morning games, an afternoon game, Sunday night and Monday night. Sunday night, unfortunately, we take our first loss of Detroit plus 2.5. I'm just losing all my money betting against Peyton Manning. But Detroit and Chicago are not good teams. They are bad teams, and I think that we can go ahead and bet against them every single week. So that's our first loss. And then tonight, we have Green Bay -6.5. Hasn't happened yet, so I can't count it. So on the weekend, we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-1. 5-1, coming off of an NFL 4-1 the previous week. So we are now ramped it all the way up to 16-12, and we're waiting on the Green Bay game to total, and then of course the scratch will make it uneven, where it would be 20 total games. It's now 19. So I'm on absolute fire. If you're not even paying for these picks, I'm just giving them out. All you have to do is listen to the show. All you have to do is listen to the Friday show where I give you 8 winners. And they've been winners the past 2 weeks. Up until this point, we've lost like 2 games in our last 10 picks. So listen to the show. Make sure, if you don't listen on Monday, make sure you listen on Friday to get your free picks. Another thing I want to talk real short because I'm running up against the clock before the MLS Minute. The NFL has got to do something with their TV schedule. Why are we getting every game at noon, and then we get 2 games in the afternoon? Those 2 games are awful. Every single week is the same thing. It's like you have all these amazing games in the morning, but you can't watch all of them because you don't have 10 TVs. So you like flip between 3 of them, and then the afternoon games you get 2 games, and they're terrible. I don't understand it. Why wouldn't you either even it out or flip it to where in the morning you get 2 games at noon? Because you would think more people are doing things at noon, like eating or whatever, and then overload the afternoon games when you would think more people are sitting at home watching. I don't get why the 2 afternoon games yesterday were Seattle and Chicago, and what was the other afternoon game? It was not a good game. I'm trying to think what it was. I can't remember. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't remember. That's how non-eventful it was. So you have I don't understand the NFL schedule. It's always been like that, but I don't understand why they do that. Why would they give us so many games in the morning and only 2? I mean, I'm sure it's a contract or whatever, but you would think even adding just 2 games in the afternoon and giving us 4 games would make so much more sense. I don't know. I'm not a TV executive. I just give you all the truth here. I just give you all content that no one else can give you. But, alas. Now, enough about football. Let's talk about football. Let's talk about the MLS. Let's talk about the Major League Soccer. Let's talk about the real league. The only league that matters. Put your scarves on, please. I have put my scarf on. So go ahead and make it happen. All right, Friday. Once upon a time, the playoff dreams of the Orlando City Walt Disney Cacas were dead. Now, after a 5-2 road win against New York Red Bulls, they sit just 1 point away from 6th place in the Eastern Conference. A hat trick from Kyle Loren and goals from Brian Roches and an own goal from Damian Perinelli gave Orlando the much-needed road win. Saturday, 6 games with a total of 20 goals. Can this league get any better? The answer is no. That is a no. No, it cannot. Sebastian Giovinco made history in Toronto FC's 3-2 win against the Chicago Fire as his 2 assists tied then broke Chris Wondolowski's single-season record for combined goals and assists. Wando had 27 goals and 7 assists in a record-breaking 2012 for a total of 34. And Seba now sits at 19 goals and 16 assists for 35 total. Congratulations, Seba. I named him an MVP weeks ago. I still think he's the MVP over Kai Kamara. Sebastian Giovinco is a wonder kid in the MLS, and Toronto FC would be nowhere near where they are without Giovinco. I bet the struggling Blues of Chelsea over in the BPL wish they still had this guy netting goals for them. Didier Drogba's brace led the Montreal Impact to a 2-0 win over DC United and allowed them to remain in 6th place. Drogba now has the second most goals for Montreal with 7 goals in just 6 appearances. This guy loves playing in the MLS, and I love watching it. New England and Philadelphia played to a good old-fashioned yawn-stipating 1-1 draw. Goals from Lee Wynn and Fernando Aristeguieta helped to lighten the affair. Not surprising, Kai Kamara scores. Surprising, the Columbus Crew lost. Even more surprising, Kai Kamara scored in a game that the Crew lost at home. The Portland Timbers came into Barbasol Arena and ripped 3 points from the Crew. A brace from Fernando Addy trumped Kamara's 43rd minute goal. Houston continued their winning way in Brad Davis' 300th start. Goals from Lionel Miranda, Giles Barnes, and the winner from Davis himself gave Houston a 3-2 win over those Brownie lovers from Chicago. Or Colorado. Chicago. Those Brownie lovers from Colorado. The final game on Saturday gave New York FC an incredibly important win on the road against first-place Vancouver. Frank Lampard opened the scoring in the 29th minute, but it was a last-second penalty in stoppage time from David Villa that gave New York the 2-1 win and the 3 points. Sunday, a triple header on Sunday, made everyone around the nation forget about the NFL, and for good reason. Seattle thought they had 3 points locked up against a vulnerable Sporting Kansas City until Dom Dwyer raced off the bench for a 79th minute goal to salvage a 1-1 draw. San Jose and Real Salt Lake played 87 scoreless until a Perez Garcia 87th minute goal gave San Jose the 1-0 win and the 3 points. The greatest show on turf did not disappoint in the weekend final game. LA Galaxy beat FC Dallas 3-2 with goals from their superstars Giovanni Dos Santos, Robbie Keane, and Steven Gerrard. And of course, finally here, I promise we talk baseball. I'm up against the clock. We're going to try and be fast, but we will talk baseball. Very rarely does baseball get any kind of attention or talked about before the playoffs, and especially on an NFL Sunday. But the bullpen bad boy Jonathon Papelbon was up to his old tricks. If you're watching the simulcast, I'll go ahead and play the video. If you're listening to the audio version, I'll give the play-by-play. Harper flew out in the 8th inning. No biggie. The national season is already sunk with just like a week to go. Enter Jonathon freaking Papelbon, who has only been with the team for about a month. All right, Papelbon starts jawing at Harper as Harper walks to the dugout. Papelbon saying, I can't make out everything, but a lot of it has to do with him not running out a fly ball. Words get pretty heated, and Papelbon then starts to choke Harper. A brawl, a teammate brawl between some scumbag on the team who's only been there for 30 days and the face of the franchise and arguably the second best player in the league behind Mike Trout. Then, as if it can't get any more ridiculous, Matt Williams, the coach of the Nationals, puts Papelbon in the game in the 9th inning, the next inning. as the Nationals are up 5-4. What happens? Papelbon gives up a 2-run go-ahead bomb. The Phillies score eight runs, and they win 12-5. Now Matt Williams, after the game, said he had no idea about the brawl because he was on the other side of the dugout. And if he would have known, he wouldn't have put Papelbon in. Hey, Matt Williams, my man, the dugout is not used as a training ground for the Oregon Trail. It's not 5 miles long. It's a dugout. If I'm in a bar and someone's fighting on the other side of the place, I can see the fight. If I'm in the same dugout and the face of my franchise is fighting with Papelbon after screaming at each other, I could probably see that too. Somebody needs to put their cheek up against Matt Williams' mouth and make sure he was still breathing. He might have been dead. After the game, Harper was quoted as saying, quote, "He apologized, so whatever. I really don't care. It's like brothers fighting. That's what happens." You really can't say anything else if you're Harper. Man got choked out like it was the UFC. But if I'm the Nationals, I would have flogged Papelbon in the parking lot and left him there. There's no way this guy can suit up for the rest of the season. Absolutely no way. And another crazy thing is, Papelbon was talking to Harper about not running out a fly ball. Papelbon doesn't run. He's a pitcher. He doesn't hit. He never has to run. Ever. That would be like Harper talking to Papelbon about not throwing his slider hard enough. So, hey man, you don't throw. Why would you talk to me about pitching? You're not a pitcher. Papelbon, why are you talking to people about running out fly balls when you don't when you don't run? And you're also the worst sport in baseball. You constantly get suspended. He just got suspended for throwing at Adam Jones or Manny Machado. For throwing at Manny Machado. He's done this every single place he's been. He's a noted scumbag. His arrival to Washington destroyed the morale of Washington's closer, Drew Storen, who was like the 5th best closer in the league before Papelbon got there. Now Storen can't get anybody out. His ERA is ballooned. Papelbon's a bad dude. He's a terrible teammate. If I was Washington, there is no way in hell Papelbon would put on a jersey for the Nationals. I would tell him, look, man, you're not coming back. Get the hell away from the dugout. Get the hell away from the clubhouse. You will not be in Washington next season. Thanks for being here for a month and ruining everything. But you got to protect your franchise guy. If you've got someone who's willing to choke Bryce Harper, imagine if he would have done something. Like imagine if he would have punched him Geno Smith style and broke his face or like broke his jaw or broke his orbital or just injured him at all. This is a guy who's a 40 home run season, an MVP, more than likely the National League MVP, your franchise, the entire face of your franchise, the guy you're probably going to end up spending about $300 million on at some point for a huge contract, if he even stays now. Because teams like New York or wherever are going to want this guy. The guy that you desperately have to have, you got to protect him. And if he's not feeling comfortable at all in the dugout, if he's not feeling comfortable at all in the clubhouse around people, or if there's a divide around people that like Papelbon versus Harper, get Harper as far away, or get Papelbon as far away from the dugout and the clubhouse as you possibly can. I would have already beat the guy with a rubber hose in the parking lot and left him for the highest bidder. But that's enough baseball talk. That is it, guys. Fantastic Monday. Thank you for spending your time with me again. If you're listening after work or towards the last end of work, or if you're listening on your lunch break, however you decide to do it, thank you very much. Do not forget, the simulcast version is available on YouTube at my YouTube channel. Just search James Skrmetta. It's up there, or Skrmetta Out of Bounds or whatever. Subscribe to the channel. A show drops every single Monday and every single Friday. Also, on iTunes, just search Out of Bounds with the first one that comes up. Just subscribe, download the podcast, and if you do, I'd really appreciate it if you left a review or you rated the podcast, because it helps to get searched. It helps get filtered when it has a lot of ratings or a lot of reviews. So make sure to do that. I am your host, James Skrmetta. This has been another successful episode of Out of Bounds. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your week, guys.